So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my path to fairy. As probably many of you will know, I'm really into fairies, and it's been for quite a while. And some people are probably thinking, "Oh, well, how did I kind of get into that? And what is all that all about?" Because obviously, a lot of people just see fairies as this very childlike thing. What have they got to do with spirituality or healing or anything like that? I can tell you there's a lot more to it than that for those who are not too familiar with the fairy realm. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background, as usual, because I'm not very good at remembering what to say. I have it a little bit written in front of me here, and I will add on to that as well. So if you keep seeing me look away, that is why, because I'm reading this. I'm sorry, but one day I'll be able to do this without keep having to write stuff before. But yeah, for now anyway, especially as I hear Instagram. I'm going to put this on YouTube as well, but on Instagram I hear they're going to kind of make videos more important. Of course, they're really pushing reels and stuff like that. So I will try and make an effort to make more videos and not just photos so that I can get with the times and get the work. So, anyway, my path to the whole fairy stuff. So they've been tied in with my life for a really long time. I can't exactly pinpoint the exact moment when that connection actually started. When I was a little girl, I believed in fairies. I'd see the dandelion seeds flying in the sky, like probably a lot of us do, and I'd see them flying through the sky and think, oh, that's a little fairy blowing in the wind there. And I still feel like that. And then at some point through my adult journey and all my spiritual path, which many of you will know is quite far and wide and deep and a really massive part of my life, I just found this deeper connection with the fairies that kind of came up again, but more on a deeper level. So I started putting little offerings out for them in the garden or in other little places in nature, like little pots of honey or something like that. And I read everything that I possibly could. That's normally when I really get interested in something, I will read everything that I possibly can, absorb and learn a lot that way, not just train courses. So a lot of it's self-learned, but also intuitively as well. That's not to discredit training, by the way, but with the fairies, I didn't have any and I haven't had any formal training. This is just pure connection that I have and pure self-taught, the knowledge part of it, and very intuitive. So yeah, I read all the books I was given. I read all the I read all the books that I possibly could get hold of, and then I got given this beautiful deck called the Fairies Oracle, which is amazing. So if you don't have it already and you like oracle cards, I highly recommend it. It was the first deck I ever got given, and that really, really kind of started my path even further, meeting these fairy oracle cards. And they're designed by Brian Froud. So I started getting really into Brian Froud and his art. And there was something about fairies that I found appealed a lot more to me than angels. And I still really find that. I still haven't personally, I know many people have, I still haven't personally found that angelic connection. But with fairies, I definitely have it. I think they feel more grounded perhaps, and that is more my vibe. Feeling very earthy and grounded. That's not to say I'm sure you can get that with angels too, but that was just my personal feel, is that the fairies just draw me in more, really. I just can't connect with them the same way. So Yeah, fairies are like nature spirits, and they also come in all sizes and in all personalities. They're not all sparkly and glittery. Some are a bit dark and evil, or monstrosities, or really beautiful. So, just like humans, we're all different shapes and sizes and different personalities, and I find that with the fairies as well. So, you get the good fairies, the bad fairies, and the some that are just kind of somewhere in between. Again, like humans, really. The world isn't black and white, after all, and there has to be balance in the world of all shades of grey. So, I had this fascination with fairies for years before I actually found out that there was something called shamanic fairy healing. For a year, myself and my husband Miguel were part of this spiritual group. Once we had this session where we were invited to do our own type of healing. At the time, I wasn't trained in any particular healing techniques yet. That I wasn't sure exactly what to do. So all I thought was, I'll bring my fairy oracle cards along. But I wasn't sure how I could relate that to healing and not just doing a reading. So out of curiosity, I wondered if maybe fairy healing was a thing. So, there was already angel healing, so why not fairy healing? So I looked it up on Google, as you do, and I was pleased to discover that it did indeed exist, and there were loads of books about it, so I was super excited. I love a book. And I ordered one of the books, and in the meantime I just used my intuition to guide me when it came to that spiritual group session where I didn't know what to do with the healing. And so I got the partner that I'd been partnered up with for this exercise in the group, and I got her to pick a couple of cards out of the Fairy Oracles deck, and I gave her a little mini reading with them, and then I got her to pick the one that she was most drawn to out of the three that I had chosen for her. And I tried to connect with the spirit of that card that she'd chosen, and then using my hands attempted to do a healing. And she said that she picked up the energy as I was doing the healing, which was outdoors, and a thistledown blew across during the session in the wind, like a sign from the fairies that they were really helping me. And it was at that moment that I knew this was something that I was meant to do. So, not long after that, I received the book that I had ordered, and that book was called, sorry, that's the chair. That book was called The Healing Power of Fairies, and it was by Dane McCoy. I don't have the book on anymore, unfortunately. I think I gave it away, but it is a really good book. I immediately clicked with what was written, and I started practicing on people really quickly with a lot of success. Once I realised that I could connect with that healing, it was just like I just knew it. And it wasn't long before I felt ready to do the fairy shaman initiation, which was actually featured in that book. So then I continued on after that doing fairy healings. I haven't really done fairy healings for a while, but it is still in my repertoire for those who feel drawn to it. And I was connecting with the fairies through meditations and stuff, like once a week. And I also, at the time, I did create a separate altar for the fairies. I don't have one now, unfortunately, because of lack of space where I live. But once I can again, then I will. And then, I would put offerings out every day still, and I just feel like they're always there anyway, and helping me, as long as I pay not only respect to them but also the earth. And there's nothing more that the fairies don't like than people disrespecting Mother Nature. So now, my kind of process with the fairies, obviously I still put offerings out for them regularly when I can. And the main thing really that I'm doing with them now is still very much with the Fairy Oracle cards, these beautiful cards. So you've probably seen it. I do once a week fairy meditation class, which is based on this particular deck, although you don't need the deck to take part. And every Sunday we visit one of the fairies in the deck and basically go and explore them and go and meet them in a meditation and connect with that energy. So we have a class coming up this Sunday, and that one's with this one, which is Undressing of the Salad, which is an interesting one. So I would say this one's all about making the impossible possible. As you can see, it's a little bit chaotic. So we'll be meeting them on Sunday at 7:30 on Zoom. If you send me a message, I can send you all the details to join. And finally, I'm going to just give you some little tips to connect with the fairies yourself. So try putting an offering out. You heard me mention that several times. That's really, really important. And it's a really good way to connect. So you can put it in your garden if you have one, or go to a space in nature, even a park, somewhere nice, maybe by a tree. And you can leave things, especially sweet stuff. They like things like honey, but you can also just take a little bit of your dinner. As long as whatever you put outside is not going to harm any wildlife or animals, then it's totally okay. So don't put glitter or anything like that. But food items are good as long as it's not anything like chocolate, which might be poisonous to any animals that might be around. If you leave a bit of your dinner, then make sure it's not a leftover, but the very first bit that you cut off. So then put that aside for them and take it out. So when you do it, just say out loud in your mind that you're leaving them a gift. And if you choose, you can ask them to maybe give you something in return if they choose to. The other thing you can do is make a commitment to looking after the earth more. They like people picking up litter, for example, or you could organise something like a beach clean-up, or consider going vegetarian, even if it's just once a week. Any little steps you can do to help Mother Earth is always going to be regarded highly by the fairies. And finally, spend more time in nature and listen to the sounds that you hear. Really connect with all your 5 senses in nature, because the more that you connect with Earth, the more you connect to the fairies, because that is their home. So that is how you connect. You can begin to connect with them. So you can contact me regarding fairy meditation class or fairy healing sessions, which can be done at a distance as well as in person. So yeah, if you want to do any of those things, you can drop me a message. Or if you believe in fairies and enjoy themselves yourself, leave a little emoji in the comments. And I will see you very soon.